So we'll call this segment Psychopaths and Sociopaths. Nothing to do with the guest, but it has to do with some politicians. Ken Yorgan, Dr. Ken Yorgan, has come up with a most interesting proposition. When I first heard about it, I could do nothing but laugh. You know the stuff we've listened to and watched politicians for a long time. Dr. Yorgan has an idea to maybe resolve some of this stuff, ferret some of it out, and eliminate it. You go ahead, take the floor, Dr.
Okay.
Yorgan.
Well, first let me say it's a pleasure to be here with you, George. You know, I've been a big fan for quite some time. Yeah, what I've come up with and I'm working on is the idea of a direct legislation initiative, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Direct legislation is something that the citizens put forward and include on a ballot for themselves to vote on.
California was famous for this.
Proposition 8 was.
Yeah, Proposition 13 was one of the earliest ones where they put strict limits on tax increases there. That goes back 30
Right,
years.
that's probably the one I'm thinking of. Prop 8 is maybe a different one.
Okay,
But
yeah.
Prop 8 had to do with taxes. Anyway, this is a similar thing. And what I want to do is, you're familiar with how if you get a minimum wage job at like Walmart or someplace like that, you have to sign permission to be subjected to random drug testing.
Okay.
Now, these kind of jobs have very little impact on the social structure. However, I think politicians, public office holders have the potential for a great deal of impact on the social structure. And yet they are not subject to any screening at this time.
Yeah.
What I would like to see is a screening mechanism by which we determine if somebody is a psychopath or a sociopath. Which I think would make somebody uniquely disqualified to hold public office. But I'm not saying that they should be disallowed from running. I think it's important that the public has an informed choice when they go and vote for these candidates.
Would the public somehow be notified through, I mean,
Absolutely.
we're talking about a two-step procedure. First, we have to put this to a referendum that this is going to be done.
Right.
And once, if it passes the referendum, now the public says, all right, so we're going to somehow evaluate each candidate to find out if they're sociopathic or psychopathic.
Right.
Or hopefully, there's a couple of them that are going to be sane.
Yeah, well, that would certainly
that'd
be
be nice
the
if we could
ideal.
find a
Yeah,
couple.
yeah, that would be the preferred option. But I think it's important that a lot of people probably don't know what a psychopath or a sociopath is.
Yeah, well, let's get that.
It's generally called pathological personality disorder, or which means that they don't function well in society. I mean, they don't function to the benefit of society in general. Some examples, historic examples of psychopaths would be Adolf Hitler.
Well, yeah, definitely has problems.
And it goes right down to people like Ted Bundy, who was a serial killer. I mean, there are not everybody who's a psychopath or a sociopath is going to be a serial killer, but of course the tendency for them to act more in their interest than in the interest of the public is very, very great indeed.
Yeah, and not that that's a trait amongst any politicians, but
Oh no! I mean, when you look at the characteristics of a sociopath or a psychopath, I'm sure that none of these characteristics will probably remind you of any politician that you know.
You got a list there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
A grandiose sense of self. You know, I mean, of self-importance.
I can't think of any politician that fits that, though.
Yeah, well, there may be candidates in the future, and I think it's important that we look to the future.
Yeah, just in case.
Pathological lying is another one. Lack of remorse, shame,
lying by politicians?
Shallow emotions, need for stimulation, irresponsibility and unreliability. Promiscuous sexual behavior.
Oh,
now
there have been.
I think there have been a couple instances of that.
We do have around a couple of those.
Yeah. Now that in and of itself certainly shouldn't disqualify somebody from public office, but I think it's something that
it'd be nice if we knew about it in advance.
Yeah, know about it in advance, right? And be able to take it into consideration when you're in the voting booth.
Do you think that we could actually, is there a way to determine that? Could we have discovered, for instance, Bill Clinton's proclivity for Monica Simpson, Monica, whatever. What was her name? Monica Lewinsky.
Monica Lewinsky, yeah. I think probably the tendency would have been revealed. I don't know that.
That would have been very
I
interesting.
don't know that the object of his emotional
Mr. Presidential candidate, it comes up here that you might like to engage in certain unusual activities in the Oval Office in our testing.
Well, perhaps there should be a position to fulfill that need, on the staff. I don't know. That's a whole different question that we probably shouldn't explore here.
But anyway, what the idea is, you would like to get something like this on the ballot
Right.
as an initiative. We're obviously not going to get legislation.
No,
It
no.
might be really hard to get legislation in this regard.
Yeah,
But
probably impossible.
yeah, considering the.
But don't you think it'd be interesting just to see those people who would be in opposition to this initiative? I mean, what would that reveal?
That's good. That's good. All right, we got some. Well, no, do you actually have some plans to do this? I mean,
Oh yeah,
you're looking at your actual.
I'm working on getting that all together. We've done it in the past with other issues. Several years ago, I'm the chairman of the Racine Coalition for Peace and Justice, and we got an initiative or a resolution on the ballot, which was a Bring Home the Troops resolution,
Okay.
which passed by about 60% in the city of Racine. So I mean, this is entertaining, and I mean, it's you're laughing, and I'm laughing with it a little bit. But I think this is a deadly serious issue.
If we could sort that out, that would tremendously improve our political situation. I think I would agree with that. I don't think anybody would argue with that. If we can actually ferret this out.
Well, we don't want people in public office who have a complete lack of concern and empathy for the citizens. And
I would say that's true.
Yeah, and that's what a sociopathic personality or a psychopathic personality is all about. They have absolutely no empathy for anyone other than themselves.
Well, thank you very much for that, Dr. Yorgan, and we will look forward to its appearance in the public arena.
Oh yeah, well there's going to have to be a signature gathering campaign, so if anybody out there is interested in getting this initiative forward, be sure and contact me, and we'll get you out there collecting signatures.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to take a break here, and next up is Dennis Navratil, a downtown businessman. He's going to have some talk about city government involvement in real estate development. See you in a bit.